Hello, and thank you for calling in today, MYM Insiders. This is Rich Harshaw, and I apologize for being just a couple minutes late. I had a minor technical glitch that I have worked through, and we are now here together. So thank you for being a little bit patient. We have, we have a couple of items to cover today on here. We're going to do, I think we're going to have a pretty interesting discussion with Scott Newman. I see you're on the line here. I'll get to you in just a second about. Really, it's an identity-based question. We've got a lot of interesting things to talk about there. Also, I understand that we have a late Tuesday morning ad clinic submission, so I'm waiting on that from my compadres over at MYM, and specifically Chad, so I'll be looking for that as we go through this with Scott. But I'm going to go ahead and start by getting Scott on the line. Scott, I've just unmuted you. Can you say something?
Hey, Rich. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine. Thank you.
Perfect.
So interesting discussion that we're going to have today. To me, it's very interesting because I did have a chance to look at the identity that was put together that you worked on with Nick. I had a couple of questions about it when I first saw it because there seems to be a couple of points of ambiguity that I wanted to work out with Nick when I looked at it. And then right when that was coming up, actually it was about a day or two afterwards, I got your email saying, hey, I've got these questions. So what I want you to do is I want you to articulate what the questions are so everybody can hear. And then I want to ask you some additional questions so we can start to sort of hone in on it. But I think you've got an interesting situation. Why don't you tell us what you're trying to accomplish here?
Okay, so I have a business that is basically half marketing, half like in the hardwood floor and staircase refinishing installation industry specifically. So I'm not a general home remodeling marketing company or a lead aggregator. I actually run a home renovation business, but what happened was I grew from working with one guy, helping him with his marketing and his sales, to working with basically 5+ guys. And I never changed my model. So it's basically a very like inefficient way of how I operate things. So clients, with the brand itself, they're hiring the company New Ridge Refinishing, which is true because the guys I work with are basically virtually partners, but from a legal standpoint, they all run their own book of business. So hence, I'm basically a marketing company. So what I found in as a bit of trouble was not that clients hated working with us, it's just that when they found out how we operated, sometimes there'd be a little bit of questions on issues on like why we operate the way we operate. So I'm trying to change that, and I want to become a little bit more transparent and say, like, I'm trying to think here, can I come out and say, hey, I'm more of like I focus in this area. I'm more of an advisor. I do like business development and management, and this is who I am as an identity, and this is why you should work with us, because here are all the great things you get with it. And don't be afraid, because clients, they play this game where they like try to squeeze you out, and they're like, well, what's the benefit of you? Why don't I just work with the contractor directly? And anyways, it gets into a whole complicated matter. So I'm trying to grow the business, and I'm stuck where I am right now, and I'm trying to like change. I don't know if changing is the right word, but I'm trying to figure out what the best method to go forward with.
Well, so there's two potential issues here. We've either got to change the way that you run your business, or we've got to change the way that we talk about the way you currently run your business, right?
Exactly.
Because when I read your identity, the thing that popped out at me was, okay, so it was the same questions that your customers are going to have. Why am I dealing with you? Why don't I just go straight to these guys? So why don't you give me a little bit more background on how this came to be? You said you started with one guy. I mean, how did you even get into the business of essentially becoming a de facto lead generator for that one guy? But then just give me a little bit of the background. I want to understand this better.
Okay, so I'm going to make the old story very short and then lead into how it started. So like I had a family business. Parents ran the business when I was younger, and then when they wanted to retire, it was just floor retail. We didn't get into service. They wanted to retire. I didn't want to take over it. I wanted to get into something else. what happened was just before they retired, we never sold services, and just explain hardwood floor refinishing just to simplify it. It's just really a service business. It's not like selling material and then having an installer go out and do it. There really is no material involved. So I did it as a side thing, and back in...
So wait a second. Pause.
Oh,
Pause.
Yep.
Your parents ran a flooring store, is that right?
Yeah, retail.
Okay, so
flooring.
they were selling tiles and hardwoods or whatever, and
Exactly.
people would just come in, pick what they wanted, and then your parents, through their store, would have it either delivered to their home or to their contractor of choice or whatever. Is that right?
Exactly, yes.
Hello?
Yeah.
You went sort of mute there. I mean, I could barely hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, so you had it right. That's how the...
Okay. So then that sort of morphed in your mind from, hey, here's some hardwood floors, to, can I help you find a contractor to install these hardwood floors for you? Is that right?
We not necessarily. We actually had we'd refer installers to them previously. What happened was with the refinishing, it's a long story, but there was a big project we were working on, and one of my employees had some work done privately, and that's the first guy I started working with. He referred this refinisher guy to me so I can refer to the client, but going forward, I can't, he didn't install or anything. He just did floor refinishing, so it's not like I could refer him for future jobs. So he asked me, he's like, hey, can we do some, can you help me get with some business? And that's when I started coming up with the idea of okay, maybe I'll, keep it in mind, or if I do some advertising, or I'll talk to clients as sales or whatnot, and I'll do it through the business. So that's how it.
Okay. So do you still have the store or no?
No, that's long gone.
Okay. So there's no store. And how long have you been in business under this current model with the one guy?
It was been 2007, so that's
8 years almost.
That's 8 years.
Okay, and your company is called New Ridge Refinishing
Group, yeah.
And is that, in my mind, the word refinishing means here's a hardwood floor that you already have. We're going to come in, sand it down, and refinish it. Is that what that means?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, what if I say to you, hey, I've got these hardwood floors, I want you to rip them out and put new ones, or I want you to rip them out and put tile, or rip them out and put carpet, or rip them out and do something else? Is that even on your plate?
Hardwood, yes. With tile, what I do is I basically refer it to another company, and they basically give me a commission for any work that I refer. That's part of the work, but that's not my main business. But anyways, the model that we're talking about is specifically hardwood, but from a marketing standpoint, I do.
So what if I called you and said, hey, I've got this house over here, and I've got these carpets in my house. I want to take them out and put hardwoods. That you're the right guy for that call, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so help me understand your model even better. So right now, you run some sort of advertisement, or you've got a website, or somebody finds out about you. They call, and who's going to come out to their house? Is it going to be you, or a salesperson, or some third party?
So that's what it's going to be, one of the partners that actually does the work or manages the crew. So it would be the actual.
Well, that's not my question. Who's going to come out and meet with them to say, hey, here's all your options?
It would be the contractor doing the work.
Okay. So they're never going to have face-to-face discussion with you other than the first time they call on the phone talking to you, and then you're going to arrange for somebody else to come over there, correct? Throughout the whole sales process, they're going to hear from me and one of my customer service associates that answers phones and emails. They're going to hear from both of us throughout the process, and we're sort of like a lead contact if there's any issues, or they need to get a contact of the contractor and they can't get a hold of them, or they have any questions about the estimate. We're involved in the whole sales process. How many contacts does it normally take between the first time they call you and when the sale finally completes?
Somewhere in the range of 5 to 10.
Okay, anytime you hear me not talking, that's me making notes on my notebook. It's not me falling asleep or ignoring you. Okay, so 5 to 10 contacts. And during okay, so let's just say for a hypothetical case that there's 10 contacts, okay? You with me so far?
Yep.
About how long would it take for those 10 contacts to occur? Would it be 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months?
I would say within 1 to 2 weeks, usually the process goes through. But like there's always the chance.
It varies.
Yeah, it varies.
I understand. There's always variation. I just want to get a feel for a typical type situation. So somebody calls you up, says, "Hey, I need flooring." Over the course of the next couple weeks, they're going to have 5 to 10 contacts with you. How many contacts during that same period of time, which is 2 weeks in this case, are they going to have contact with a third-party person that you put them in touch with?
Anywhere from like 1 to 3, basically 1 being the estimate, and then 3 being they have to like contact the person to change the schedule or something. Because I usually give out their contact info when we're booking the estimate, just in case last minute they need to get a contact of the person. But basically throughout the whole, like my model is I want them to be fully in contact with the contractor once the job is booked / starting. So I'm basically the lead up until it really starts. And then once it starts, I want them to focus with the client directly. So there's no broken telephone between too many people. But through the sales process, my guys are busy on job sites. And that's the whole sort of sales marketing aspect is clients want answers right away, and they don't want like silence, like no communication. So even if I can't get the answer, I'm usually the one getting the answer from the contractor up until the point the job starts. And it's usually sales. This is usually like sales questions, little questions, and I sort of make sure things get organized, because with the guys I work with, and I'm not singling one out, generalizations is they usually don't get back to them efficiently or at all because they forget, because they're on the job site. They don't have a way of organizing it. That's sort of what I try to eliminate to create a higher sales closing ratio.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What if a guy calls you up and goes through this process, and meanwhile his next door neighbor, this is hypothetical of course, calls that contractor direct? They don't even know about you. It never came up. They just call that guy direct. They can call that guy direct, correct?
Yeah, it's happened very rarely because the guys I work with are usually not advertising, or they don't have their own branding. So like the guys I tend to work with do not do their own marketing.
So they did tend to be more of a subcontractor type situation as opposed to a company that's branded.
Yes.
Do they have their own websites?
Some kind of do. They're not like really robust. Like, and some of them do have like a little bit of their own branding, but it's only like just simple. So
this is going to sound bad, but I'm just trying to understand the situation. So indulge me a little bit. This is more like kind of guys that would almost be like on Craigslist or picking up work on where they can. And I'm not suggesting Craigslist. That sounds bad because that sounds like guys that suck on Craigslist. But I'll just give you my own personal experience and see if this sort of jives. Okay. I wanted to do some woodwork in my house, rebuild some cabinets, like an entertainment center that was originally built for, an old style TV that's really deep, and how those kind of were built. Now I want something that's a little more up to date. So you start trying to find a guy to do that, and you know that you don't need, a mega 30-person company to have you just need a guy. But finding that guy is really hard. So you go on Craigslist, and there's some Yahoos, and there's some regular guys. It's just hard to figure it out. And so what you're telling me, I know you're not in woodworking, you're in floors. What you're telling me is, hey, here's a guy you can call that's going to get you the right guys to come and do this at a good price. Is that what you're saying?
Predominantly, yeah. Like the whole key to my whole business and why I get a lot of business is because of the brand reputation, quality, like reviews and things like that. So the guy
I wish there was a guy like you in woodworking that I could call and go, hey, you know what? I'm looking for a guy to come do this particular job. Can you send a guy over? And you say, yep, you know what? I've got 5 different guys. It sounds like based on what you need, this particular one guy is probably the best. So I'll send him over. He'll give you an estimate, and I'll keep in contact with you the whole time. And you'll pay him directly. Is that right? These guys, your customers pay your contractors directly, correct?
Exactly, yes.
Now, why is that?
Well, that's the thing is when I started off, all I was trying to do is just do a little bit of marketing for liability purposes. Like, I was in early mid-20s, and I was just like, here, I just want it. You pay me for my marketing services. I get you jobs. I get compensated commission, and so forth. You take full liability. You have your own insurance. You have your own WSIB. I don't want to get involved with that. Too much cost, too much headache. I rather just run my own little marketing business, and I don't want to get involved with other like operational logistics. And I'm still sort of to that mindset where I don't want to be like, because then I have to be more responsible, go on site, supervise, manage, not necessarily in every case, but I have to be a full-fledged renovation company, whereas I want to be more of a marketing, more of a marketing brand entity. And so far it's worked well, but like I said, I'm on a crossroads right now, so I don't know what direction to go in. I really don't want to go in the direction of just becoming a floor refinishing company or just a regular refinishing company. I want to focus on what I'm good at.
How much of your time with your clients do you spend explaining the relationship between you and them and the contractor?
Most of the time, well, lately I've been a little bit more upfront about it if they ask about it, but most of the time we always would just say we're all part of the one company, we're part of the group, the independent company. Like when they say, here, write the check out to here, this is the company on the invoice. I explain to them why it's like that, but I basically say that we're really one and the same, because people who contact us are like, whoa, I don't want to work with this guy. I want to work with New Ridge Refinishing because of your great reputation. So if I'm working with this guy, I feel like you're just subcontracting out and they're not part of the group. Because they don't, again, it's like the confusion you had on the call. They don't get the idea of like how the company really operates. So they think I'm like, New Ridge Refinishing is too busy and we're subcontracting out to other guys. So I'm trying to eliminate all that and like say, hey,
now, I'm not an attorney, but it sounds like you're sharing all the same legal liability as the actual contractors. Is that the case? I mean, so let's assume something goes bad. If something goes bad, then the lawsuits are going to start flying, and they're going to come first and foremost to you, and secondarily to that guy. So from a legal standpoint, I don't know that you're in a much better position than you would be if you just took the whole enchilada.
That is somewhat true, yeah, because I do have like my own liability insurance, and like I am covered from that perspective because I understand I can be tied to it from that perspective. Like I don't have signed contracts with me specifically. It's with the it would be like with the contractor that's doing the work directly, like I mentioned. So that's one way. But everything that you said is true. Like from there's been cases where, like for example, a big company referred out an installer to do something and said, hey, we're not involved, we're just giving this as a recommendation, something goes wrong, and they ended up suing the big box company for it, even though they didn't have any contract or anything involved. They just handed out a name. So I know they've gotten, this is in Canada and Ontario, that they've actually said you're responsible, even though you didn't have any like legal agreement. So I've already been through this. I understand that, but like at the end of the day, I don't know if it really helps me to go and be a full-fledged just a floor refinishing company and just like go through the whole invoicing and the accounting aspect of it. That's just my thoughts on it. It's just, and I may be wrong, but
how many jobs are you coordinating per month right now? Roughly. More like 2 or more like 50?
No, it's probably like, I'm just trying to think your average 3 to 5 guys. Usually a job a week per guy. So I would say you're probably looking at around 20 to 30 maybe.
Okay, 20 to 30 jobs per week.
Oh, no, sorry, not per week. Per month, yeah.
You said month, I said week. I messed up. So 20 to 30 jobs per month. And how many do you want to be doing?
It would be in a perfect world. I like to, I'm ever growing, so, I'd like to double it within like within 2 to 3 years.
So maybe something like 50 jobs per month.
Yeah.
Okay, now back to my question earlier about a guy that calls you and does the job for you, and meanwhile, next door neighbor, unbeknownst to anybody, calls the guy directly. You said, well, probably not going to happen because he doesn't advertise, but let's assume that he was referred over or something like that. Is he going to charge that guy the same price as you, or is he going to charge him a less price than you?
Most likely a less price.
And what is your cut on all this stuff?
It ranges to be like anywhere from anywhere from 10 to 20% usually on labor, not material.
What about materials at cost through to the customer?
Yeah, they're see, that's where, these are one of the things why I don't want to be a full-fledged company, is that's usually the responsibility of the contractor, and I don't add anything on top. In our opinion, most of the materials in our type of industry is very commodity-based. If he needs to add on for his own time for getting the materials and selling the materials or showing samples, that's his own prerogative. I just want to make mine on the service, the labor, because that's where it's less of a commodity, so we can justify the cost a little bit better.
Okay. Well, this is a tricky situation. This is thorny. That's probably why you're calling me. So, tell me where you're leaning. What do you want to do? Clearly you want to stay in this independent model as a liaison type guy. You don't want to be a contractor. You just want to be able to explain it better. Is that really the crux of our call?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure, again, I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm just trying to throw stuff out there, ideas, and I started thinking to myself, could I advertise myself as more of an advisory service or more of a consultant, or just say, this is how my company, like I explained to you in a simplified way, this is how our company operates and here's the benefits of it. Because at the end of the day, going back to your one thing you mentioned about if they contacted the contractor directly, yes, they would be less. But here's the thing is, like I mentioned, most of the time they're not going to find this contractor. They're going to find a similar company like me that advertises. And one guy I met one time, a nice guy, honest guy, I didn't work with him. He's like, I already have a $20,000 to $30,000 a year marketing budget. And then the light bulb went off. I'm like, oh. He basically told me that that's what I'm saving these other guys from having to do, because even though they all say, oh, I'm always booked because I get my own referrals because, yes, they're good. But we all need to do marketing. And I come to the idea that who I'm competing with, they're already having all these other costs. They're going to have salespeople costs, customer service costs, advertising costs. So it's not like they're paying more, the client. I mean, it's like who I'm being compared to are really full-fledged companies that have their own marketing expenses. So
right. So these guys are essentially outsourcing their marketing to you.
Yeah. That's the way I like it. Yeah. It's almost like saying, I'm not a call center. It's almost like saying I'm outsourcing it to an ad company and a call center, and I just go and do my work, and I do the estimates and run my business as I normally do, but they take care of the marketing and the sales, or the customer service phone calls.
And then, how do you compete? How's your prices compared to full-fledged flooring companies that have their own marketing and customer service?
A lot of the times we tend to be one of the higher end, on the higher end, I don't want to say always the highest, but we're always on the upper mid to high range. I do that purposely. I used to be one of the cheapest when I was just with one guy, but then as I expanded and built a better reputation, we were able to get compensated because at the same level as a retail store rates. So, but who we're compared to are a lot of companies that don't necessarily have showrooms or retail, so they have less overhead. But I would say we're mid to higher range. Sometimes the highest, sometimes upper mid range. So if they get 3 quotes, we're either number 2 or number 3. We're never the lowest.
Okay, and you're in Ontario, right?
Yeah.
What town? Sorry, forgive my ignorance of Canada. What kind of geographic area do you service?
It's the biggest one. It's Toronto and surrounding. So we're talking around 4 to 6 million people.
Okay, so you essentially service the Toronto metro area?
Yeah, within a 2 to 3 hour radius. Because I remember I have guys that live in different aspects or different areas. So like guys can live like an hour or two away from each other. So I cover like different, not to make it complicated because you don't know the geography, but I started off in a town an hour away from Toronto. Then I grew into Toronto, which is like, like 5 times the amount of people, and that's when the business really exploded. But there's a big surrounding area, just like when you say Metro Dallas area, and you got all the other towns around it. So,
Understood. So you work currently with 5 guys, is that right?
I give almost full-time work, close to or full-time work, to at least 3 to 5 guys, and then I have other guys for different specialty things. And some guys are in like remote locations that cover remote things. So I can have up to 5 to 10 guys, but I really have 3 to 5 solid guys that I give like a majority of the work to.
Now, when you say guys, do you mean literally a guy, or do you mean a guy with a crew?
So a guy with a crew is what I mean. So I'm just trying to simplify it.
Well, I just need to understand. So the guy is consistently your guy, and then his crew may or may not have turnover. Is that probably true?
True, yeah. So like some guys, or some people I work with, or some outfits, I guess that you could say I work with, are a crew of 1. A lot of them are a crew of 2 to 3. One of them has his own branding. He's a unique case, which I don't. I give if I'm really busy, I tend to give him a lot more work because he's got 2 to 3 crews. He's got his own branding, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to help change my identity, because I wanted to possibly work with other companies out there that don't have a full-fledged marketing budget, but they have their own, company brand. They may not have a full-fledged website or other things, but I want to work with bigger crews that can handle a lot more workload, which is difficult.
So when these guys show up to your customer's house to give quotes, is that right? They come to the house?
Yes.
What's on their business card? What's on their truck? What's on their hat or polo shirt or whatever they're wearing?
Most of them, nothing, which is what I want. But there are a couple guys, specifically one that has his full-fledged own company name, branding, and everything.
Okay, so does that confuse people?
Yes.
But you like that. You like those companies because they have more capabilities, but you don't like it because they add more layers of confusion. Is that true?
Exactly, yes.
So it's a two-edged sword.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, how much of your work is going to that company right now, percentage-wise?
15, 20%.
And 80% going to unbranded generic guys, correct?
Exactly.
So when the unbranded generic guy shows up on someone's door, they're more likely to look at him as, oh, this is the New Ridge guy.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that creates an interesting dynamic. Well, the best thing I can think of to compare this to, but there's definitely going to be some differences. But the best thing I can think of is an insurance company I've worked with here in Texas that's an independent agent. And the advantage of working with him is that he aggregates all the quotes from all the different companies. He knows which companies at any given time are offering the best rates. In the insurance world, it's a lot about rates. And he knows what companies offer what are called honeymoon rates. These are companies that are very aggressive in the marketplace, so they're offering better rates. And it changes and fluctuates over time based on which companies feel like they need to be more aggressive. So he's always on top of that. So when somebody calls in, he gets their situation, depending on their driving background and their history and payments they're trying to make, and he can sort of match them up, find them the best rate. But the service always goes through this guy. His name's Al Banker, okay? So anybody that's doing business will buy insurance. They actually make their payment to Al Banker, though, and then they get a policy that shows up from Progressive or some company that you never heard of maybe. So there's some similarities there, and then there's some differences there. But what I really want to get to is the marketing side of it, because when we do advertising and marketing for that guy, the whole crux of that campaign revolves around, hey, I'm the guy that can help you find the right insurance for your situation. If you call any company, you're going to get their quote, and if you call Progressive, they're going to give you 2 or 3 quotes. If you call me, I'm going to give you 127 quotes, and you're not going to see them all, but I'm going to be looking at all 127 companies, and I'm going to give you the very best thing for you, and I'm going to handle, all of the paperwork and so forth. And I feel like you're kind of in that same situation. There's definitely some differences, but I'm just trying to find a model or a handle on this that I can go to the marketplace and say, hey, here's why I do what I do. Here's the reason. Now, the main reason that you said you do this doesn't necessarily ring important to me as a consumer. I get it, and I know that in reality it's important, but it's not something that's at the forefront of my mind as I'm wandering into the waters of trying to find a contractor. And what I think I heard you say is that you're going to be a communication liaison. You're going to make sure that they're always in the loop. You're going to make sure that things don't fall through the cracks, which is good and it's important. And if you've ever experienced the opposite of that, you have a heightened sensitivity to how important those things are. But at the forefront of that discussion, those are things that when I say them to a prospect, hey, I'm going to help make sure that there's good communication, nothing falls through the cracks, I kind of see the average consumer shrugging his shoulders and going, is it really that big of a problem? What do you think?
I agree with you on that one. It makes, like, that's the thing that a local third-party review site where I've built up the reputation. So I'm very keen on keeping that at a high level. So number one to me isn't like having guys with low price or anything like that. It's always having good quality work. So I'm almost like, I consider it like a politician. Like, my name's out there. If something goes wrong and pisses the client off, they're going to hold my feet to the fire. I know you said, I can be sued, legal liability, but that's not so much of an issue.
Yeah, it's more of a reputation problem.
Exactly. So I could get, and it's happened to me, I got a bad review, then that's my business, you know what I mean? So it's almost my responsibility to make sure the job goes well. And because of the way we secretly operate, I can't express that to clients because maybe like you said, the average guy doesn't care about the logistics, but maybe they would care about the fact that it's my job to make sure you're taken care of. But I don't know how to express that, with a really weird way of how I operate.
So how willing are you to expose your processes on the front end so that anybody that's on your website can look at it and go, oh, that's how he does business? Does it scare you?
The unknown, yeah, it scares me because it's always like I'm trying to change my mindset, or I'm thinking that it maybe isn't so much of an issue anymore. But that was always my worry from day one, until less so now, is that if they ever found out how I really operate, because when I was with one guy, it's easy. We're just one partner, we're one company, it's no problem. Now that I work with more guys, I got an issue because they're not employees of mine, and we're all separate entities. It's like a broker, like the insurance broker, where, if they don't want this guy on the job anymore and I got to bring another guy in, I can't, you know what I mean? They're not intertwined with each other. So that's where my weak point is right now. So that's why I wanted to, instead of becoming like the full-fledged renovation company, I wanted to find a way of expressing the benefits of using our services without the client going, whoa, I thought these guys did great work. Now I'm finding out it's just some guy that runs a marketing company, or whatever you want to call it, or whatever they want to think about it.
Okay. Well, this is probably something that I'm going to need to put a little thought into. I don't want to take all the time on this call for just this discussion. I just looked up and realized we're 35 minutes into this conversation. But there's definitely food for thought here. I mean, where I'm kind of leaning towards this is, I'm leaning one of two ways. Way number one is to completely hide the fact that you have these relationships and let that come out in discussion at the appropriate time, which is, I think, kind of how you're doing it now, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
And then number two is to completely put it all out there on the front end. I think you've got to go one way or the other. I don't think, the way that the identity was written the first time, it straddles the fence and it leads to confusion. And it's just not going to work. We have to either go all in or not in at all. And I'm not really in a position to tell you which one of those is going to be best for you, but I can help you communicate it the best way, depending on which way you want to go. So what are you thinking?
Initially, when I first started working with you guys, I was like, I want to just go all in on the advisory side. Now that we've had this, half-hour plus conversation, I'm back. I'm actually back on the fence. I'm not sure which is the best way to go, because if I just keep to the hiding perspective, if there's a good way of working around it, I'm okay with it. Again, there's a marketing side and an operational side. Right now, I just want to focus on the marketing side because that's what we're all here for. If I went to the hiding it, then I might look at, well, maybe I got to change the way I run my business. Whereas if I went all in on the, I don't know if you want to call it broker, advisor, whatever you want to call it, if I went all in on that side, I can keep the way I run my business operationally and expand it in a different way through marketing.
Well, let's do this. If you go the hiding it route, that's not that difficult to put the marketing together for that, because essentially you talk about the quality and stuff like that. On this other side, let's do this. Let's put it together the advisory route way. Let me put some thought into it and come up with some ideas and some concepts that we can run by you separately off of this call. And then, let's push it around a little bit and see what you think. Let's explore it that way. Let's see if we can find some good ways to talk about it. Because where I'm leaning in that is sort of an idea that, look, there's hundreds of flooring companies, some of them high-end, some of them medium-end, some good. There's a lot of guys that have expert abilities in this area that most people wouldn't even know about, wouldn't be able to find these guys. And we position ourselves in the middle as a company that knows all the best companies, all the best resources for materials, all the best practices for getting this done. And we can help you find the exact right materials, the exact right installers, and we can help, I don't like the word manage, but for right now, manage that process so that nothing ever falls through the cracks. So you've always got a line of communication so that you're never wondering what's going on, so that the job absolutely goes smooth from start to finish, from first phone call to final installation kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And just explaining it to people. And I think part of that is going to be a strong set of FAQs. We don't want 32 FAQs, but we want to get maybe about 5 or 6 where we've got the major things covered. Let me push that around a little bit. Now, here's the downside of that. It's going to lengthen this process out a little bit, and I think you already probably understand that, but not too much. Let's give it an extra few days or week here, and let's try to get it done right instead of get it done.
Yeah, I agree.
Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, perfect. Like I was telling Nick the other day, I don't care how long it takes. I'd rather get it done right than do a half-hearted job just to get it done, and then it blows up in your face. So
this is a legitimately tricky situation. You acknowledge and understand that because it's vexing you personally, and then we're the ones trying to help you put it together. So that comes over to us. Nick has been listening in on this call, so he captured everything that we just talked about. I'll also talk to him on the back end, and I'll work with him to put some stuff together. We'll send it over to you. We're going to go a little bit outside of our normal process. Our normal process is to write it up, send it over to design, which is what we've actually already done, and design it. But since we've got this uncertainty in the messaging, I think what we're going to do is create some messages, some messaging and just send it over to you in its basic, Word document format to get some back and forth on the ideas before we take it to design. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll come up with some stuff and we'll run it by you. It's only Tuesday, so it'll be this week yet, and then we'll take it from there. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
And there may be some additional questions that come up, so we may be back on the phone again. But yeah, that's good. That's definitely a tricky situation, but we'll work with you to get through it.
Okay, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, guys.
Okay, you feel like this has been helpful? Because we haven't really moved much further, but I have a better understanding, so I feel like we can write it better now.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not trying to stump you guys or anything. I knew going into this that it would be unique. I'm not trying to be like, ooh, I'm so unique. It's just that's my problem. Is I wish there was a model copy. I wish it was just like a regular renovation company. It's easy to just do the marketing and go forward with it. So that's why we're in this situation. Is I'm trying to figure out the best route to go, not for just to make a quick buck tomorrow. I'm looking 3, 5, 10 years down the road. Where's this going to be? So I'd rather make the decision now than just plateau and do the same thing until it blows up in my face. If that kind of makes sense.
Okay. Well, we'll work on this and be in touch with you soon.
All right. Perfect.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay, and we will now move on. Let's see, I've got Ray Hahn. Ray, I see that you're on the line here, but I'm going to need you to punch in your audio pin so that I can talk to you. Your audio pin is #22#. Now that's specific to Ray, so nobody else put that in. Okay, Ray, are you there?
Yes.
How are you doing today?
Can you hear me? Good.
Yes,
How are you?
I hear you just fine.
Okay.
I'm pretty good. Now, let's see. Who have I talked to over there at your company before? It was a lady. I can't remember her name. Was it?
I think the name is Anne.
Yeah, Anne Liang, right?
Yes.
Okay. And are you one of the owners of the company, or tell me who you are?
No, I'm just a new salesman, and I'm going to take care of some marketing stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do this. Let's take a look at the ads. I've got them here on my email. Let me pull them up on the screen, okay?
All right.
Give me just 1 second. Okay, I've got two things here. I've got magazine ad and flyer. Which do you prefer to look at first?
Either one.
All right, let's pull the magazine ad up, and I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. All right, tell me when you see that on your screen, Ray.
Nothing yet. Oh yeah, I saw that.
Okay. So tell me where this ad would run.
It's in Vietnamese magazine. It's like a shopping list or something. Shopping magazine.
Shopper magazine?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And did you say it targets Vietnamese?
Yes.
Okay. Are most of the ads in that magazine in English, or are they in Vietnamese?
In Vietnamese. But we also use this one for all kind of magazine, like Chinese and maybe Spanish.
Okay.
So use this same thing to all the magazines.
Okay, so when you've run this ad in the past, how has it worked for you guys? Does it generate leads?
Yes, but not that much as we expect.
Okay. Well, you know what? It's been a long time since I talked to Ann over there, so you're going to have to help me remember some of the things about your company. I mean, when I look at this ad, it seems very general, very generic. There's really nothing on here that tells me how your company is different or better. I mean, realistically, you're just telling me that you'll give me 30% off, and that's the main reason I should call you. So help me understand what makes you guys different and better.
Yeah, I watched your webinar design for non-designers. So I
Yeah.
realized, and this ad was terrible because there's nothing on there I can really find. So let me see. Just a second.
Oh, hey, I see that Ann is also on this call. Should I unmute Ann also?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hey, Ann, you're on here now too. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Hi.
How's your Jen?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's been a while. Cause it's like actually my company, I've been through some personnel difficulty because I have two very experienced staff left almost at the same time, so I have to kind of like place them and train and newcomer and stuff like that. So I kind of left this behind a little bit, and now that I have Ray, with me, working
Okay.
on the marketing again. That's why I'm trying to that he's going to help me trying to work on the marketing campaign. The mailing campaign again. Yeah.
Okay. So the core concept that we normally talk about is identity. You remember that?
Right.
Trying to find out who you are, how you're different, why you're better, and right now I don't see any of that stuff in here. So you would need to help me understand what makes you guys different and better. Is it just same old Windows as everybody else? Are the Windows any better? Are they different?
Actually, I think I believe our identity is we actually a manufacturer, so we can actually provide much better. A better product in like a very competitive way. So we have control of the quality, the installation, and everything. Like it's like a one-stop shop.
Okay, I'm just making a couple notes here. You guys do all the selling and installing, right?
Right.
Okay, so
you probably I don't know if you remember. I was talking to you before. They say because I'm a manufacturer, I'm trying to use different name so that their installation is not going to I'm not complete with my own client.
That's right. So what percentage of your business is your Windows versus stuff you sell to other dealers?
Right now, I would say 60%, probably more than 60%, 70%. It's
60% is direct,
and 30% is installation.
Wholesale.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So give me an idea. This looks like a pretty standard double hung window in the picture here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you sell it for versus? Give me an idea what that's going to be sold and installed for. Typical standard double hung window.
What do you mean with inflation?
Well, I just want to know how much it costs.
Just the window.
I'm trying to figure out I'm just trying to figure out how much it's going to cost versus if I called some other guy who's not a manufacturer who is buying it from a manufacturer and then putting his profit on top of it and coming in, selling it, installing it. I'm trying to get a feel if there's a real.
Understand your question. Are you talking about just buying the window, or are you talking about the with install?
Well, so you tell me. If you sell this direct to a homeowner, how often are you actually doing the installation, or are they just buying the actual window, installing it themselves, or finding their own installer themselves?
So actually, we sell to different channels. Like we have like maybe wholesalers, like dealers, and.
I understand that. I'm talking about strictly direct to a homeowner. The person that would call from this ad calls you and says, "Hey, I see you got a window. You got windows. I want to buy some." Are they just buying the window, or are they having you come install it also?
In this case, they will want us to install them. Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. That's what I thought. Now here's my question: how much is it going to cost them for you to sell and install this window, this double hung?
I would
window?
say in the with the low E option and everything, it's probably in the 300 range. 200, 200. Probably would not run over 300.
So maybe 280 to 300, something like that.
Yeah, in that range. Yeah.
Okay. And you're in Chicago, so help me understand. What's the U factor on that window?
With low and everything, it's probably below 3.0. So 2.8 or something. Yeah, below.
0.28.
Probably no 0.28 or 29, something like that.
Okay, so better than a 0.30 anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good stout window. I mean, it's not like a 0.22, but it's nothing. For a $300 window, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I'm looking at that window going, okay. I mean, I could tell you 50 companies that sell that same window for $500 to $800.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So you really do have a price point differential, correct?
Right.
Okay, so why not rewrite this ad to explain that? Because I mean, if you look at this right now, you can't even tell that you don't even say that you're a manufacturer, I don't think.
True, but there's a factory and showroom somewhere.
Well, nobody knows what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't tell the story at all, right? So here's going to be a better story.
Mm-hmm.
True factory direct pricing from, Chicago's, premier window manufacturing company. And then here's what I would do. I would use more words. I wouldn't write like a novel or anything, but I would use words. And I would tell people, look, we've got this factory. It's sitting over here in Chicago where, whatever part of Chicago, 1300 West, whatever, 35th Street or something like that. Mm-hmm. We've got 80,000 square feet. We manufacture how many windows per year?
Last year, probably 50,000.
50,000 windows a year. We wholesale a bunch of them, but we also sell direct to the public. Now, the advantage of direct to the public is you get the same price that you would pay somebody else a lot more for less money. So, for instance, here's a double hung window. We can sell and install this window at about $290. And maybe you say, well, I don't know if I want to give a price. So you say, well, this is an example. There's different kinds of windows. But here's where people start to believe you. They start to believe you when you start to give them enough details that they can verify in their mind that what you're saying is true. Mm-hmm. When we sell a window, I'm not going to put this in the ad, but just walk me through it. Let's say it's $300, okay?
Right.
Okay. So what's your cost on the manufacturer side of that? How much does it cost you to manufacture that $300 window?
I probably would sell it to public, probably around 150 or something, the cost of it.
So okay. How much do you wholesale it to your wholesalers for?
That's what I'm saying, probably at, 150 or something.
Okay, so if I was Rich's window company in Chicago and I bought windows from you, you're going to sell it for 150, right?
Right.
Okay, and then what's it going to cost to get it installed?
Usually, I would say typically it's like $100 to install them.
$100, and then you got $40, $50 of profit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, good. I think that seems reasonable to people.
Yeah.
So you just show them, look, when we sell this window, we sell it for $150 wholesale. It's going to cost somebody $100 to install it. We make a $40 to $50 profit. That's why our price is about $290 to $300. If you were to buy this from a wholesale, from a regular company, anyone else that you would call, well, they're going to buy it from me from $150. They're going to mark it up immediately to $300. They're going to pay the same $100 to install it, and they're going to sell that same window for $400 to $450. True or false?
True, but then, the thing is I cannot, as a manufacturer point, because I have wholesale customers, that's why that's the whole point that I probably have to use a different company to install the windows, because I can't complete, this is going to be like a mailing or advertising on the magazine or, newspaper or whatever that I do. I cannot let my customers see something like this. It's like, hey, I had that better do than you, it's like I complete with my own customer. That's the whole point,
So
that's why I don't know what to put. That's why I don't know what to put. In I've been reading your articles and stuff that I kind of understand what to say, but then I just don't know.
So let me ask you this: you guys are
what
Crystal.
To say, Mm-hmm.
How many wholesale customers do you have? They're 30% of your business. How many of them are there? Is there 2 of them, or 20 of them, or 500 of them?
My list is a couple hundred, but then only you would say most of the business come from 20 of the big companies. I mean,
okay. The 20 that are 20 are your bigger customers, right?
Right. I mean, no. I would say 80% comes from the 20% of the customers.
Yeah, it's the 80-20 rule.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so they all know you as Crystal, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
Okay, so I mean, if you put another name on there, Ann's Windows Palace or something, they'll figure that out pretty quick, don't you think?
They will, but then I guess they would not feel the same. Because the thing is, it's not strange, to install Windows by a manufacturer in Chicago. There's a lot of, there's a couple manufacturers over here. They install Windows too, but so it's not like too odd to do that. But the only thing is, you don't want to say it in front of them. It's like they understand that there will be a certain customer they only trust a manufacturer because the manufacturer has a bigger. It's just they have a bigger facility, they have a bigger business. That when you offer the same price, of course you have a more advantage because people tend to trust you more.
These guys already see your ads, though, right?
They might not, because the only time they would see it is because if they're one of their customer, receive one of our mailing or advertising, and then they would probably question the pricing issue and stuff. Then sometimes the customer will call and say, hey, how am I able to buy from you?
Is this already a problem? Is what I'm asking you.
It is one of the issues.
How bad of an issue is it?
Well, I don't think it's too bad. Like I would say occasionally.
You don't. Okay, but you don't want to go start kicking these guys, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
By rubbing it in their faces.
Right.
Well, you know what? You and the last guy on the call, Scott. You guys have got business model challenges that. Those are really things that you've got to decide what you want to say. I mean, because what you could do, if you don't want to go the route of, hey, look, we're factory direct and we've got better prices, then you can certainly come in and just start talking about how your windows are better and you've got higher quality. But it's not your best. It's simply not your best weapon. So that's going to be something that you need to decide.
Right.
But I understand your problem. I mean, you've got, probably 20 or 30 wholesale customers that are making you a lot of money, and you don't want to alienate them.
Well, the thing is that why we have to be in the installation business also because we can't depend on some of your customers, because those customers, they can buy from you or they cannot. I mean, or they can buy from someone else, right? But the installation part, to make sure that the factory has has works constantly.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
When I was talking to Ray earlier, he said this was going in a Vietnamese magazine, and you do some Chinese magazines and stuff like that.
Well, actually, you know what? It was in Vietnamese before. I was changing some of the stuff, and they have not translated yet. But when we advertising before, they were in different language. Like if this is going to be advertising in a different market, Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So here's my question, though. It isn't really about the language. It's more about this. What percentage of your business goes after specific markets for different nationalities and so forth, languages or whatever? Is that a big part of your business?
It is. Yeah, because that's some of the area that we actually target. Korean or Filipino or
Is it primarily Asian markets?
Not necessarily Asian, but this is one of the markets we're actually advertising.
What other types of markets that are non-English speaking? Is there like European stuff too that you go after?
No. Maybe we should,
So
but I kind of focus on minority.
Okay, and I'm just trying to figure out what types of ethnic markets you go after. Spanish speaking?
Yes, that's one of the market that that I.
So Spanish speaking and Asian speaking, is that your two biggest categories?
Right. No. Actually, I will not say that. I will not say the biggest, but those are the target that we actually. I mean, those are the targets that we.
What about English speaking?
There's more than 50%. Yes.
Okay. So just advertising in quote unquote normal publications that just go out to the regular English speaking market. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, this may be kind of like Scott on the last caller, where maybe you need to just decide what you want to be when you grow up. And if you really want to go, you've got 30% of your business now coming from the wholesale market. Is it more profitable than the direct sales or less profitable than the direct sales?
Well, of course, the inflation is more profitable, but as far as quantity, with a manufacturer needs quantity, that's why we don't sell it at a very high price, because the manufacturer does need quantity because you have certain. It doesn't matter how how in construction, you have high season, low season, but it doesn't matter low season, high season. You have so many workers already.
Understood.
So, we do need
but
quantity.
You said that currently 30% of your business is wholesale. Is that right?
No, 30% is 70% is
direct?
wholesale. 30% is installation.
Okay. I had that backwards. That's an important detail. Okay. Well, Ann, from my perspective, it's pretty simple. If you don't want to alienate your wholesale customers, which is probably smart, then I would create ads that tended to say things that were more similar to the wholesale customers' advertising. In other words, focusing on the identity of the quality of the product, the energy savings, things like that. Mm-hmm. Because, quite simply put, your hands are tied to use your best weapon, which is your factory direct discussion.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not sure what to tell you on that. That's going to be a personal preference. But if you go, the ad that we're looking at on the screen right now clearly is just not very compelling to anybody.
Okay.
It's very generic.
Right.
So, I would want to look more deeply at, well, what are the reasons that somebody wants to buy from you?
Okay.
And serving Chicagoland with 30% off for new windows is, I don't think it's very compelling. Do you think it's compelling?
No.
Yeah.
True. I know we need to work on, we need to work on it, yes.
So I don't know that we're going to have a major breakthrough on this call, because what we really need to do is go through the full identity and find out what are those things. We don't necessarily have time on a call like this to do that. But,
okay.
I think you've got plenty of resources available from us that can help you, point you in that direction. What I'd recommend is taking the identity points, rewriting them into an ad, and then submitting that back over for a review where we can have a conversation that's, maybe a few more steps down the road.
Sure. Okay. That sounds good. Oh, another thing is, who should I talk to get the headline bang or something? Who should I talk to?
I can make that happen for you.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah. In fact, I'll make that happen for you.
Thank you. Okay.
Let's take a look. I also have a flyer here. I'm guessing it's going to be pretty much the same.
But would that look better that I did have an identity or something, right? Or on the other one, right? In the other piece, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is a little bit better. You've got the factory direct, but it's still, it's still not that powerful. I mean, okay. You tell me, how strong are you willing to talk about factory direct? Because right here you're talking about it, factory direct, no installation, no middleman. So you're willing to talk about it some, but you don't want to talk about it too much, I guess.
Well, it's a different version, that I actually try over time. So I just kind of, like this is not the modeling that we currently use, but I'm trying to create one that combine everything and trying to bring up something that I can use again.
Because what you might do is come in here. Let's see here. Come in here with sort of this. And it's not showing on the screen here. Are you seeing your ad still, or are you seeing a white piece of paper?
Just our ad right now. I think you're trying to open the publisher.
Yeah, I did, but it's not showing on the screen for some reason. I don't know why. It's not refreshing. Let's see if I can refresh that. Well, here's what I'm thinking is you come in here and you write an ad. And here's what I would do if you went to Factory Direct.
Mm-hmm.
At the top, across the top in bold letters, Factory Direct Windows saves, second line, saves you $100 to $200 per window. And then I'd show, yeah, you can see it there on your screen, but I'm going to go back. You see back on your ad where you got these pictures of your factory?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is they're too small. You can't see them very good. So I would just take one of those pictures, the top
mm-hmm.
one, that clearly looks like a factory. I'd put it on there,
mm-hmm.
picture, and people could see it and go, oh, looks like a window factory.
Okay.
We manufacture 50,000 windows a year, most to wholesalers, but we do sell a limited part of our production direct to homeowners. Our prices are $100 to $200 less per window due to no dealer markup. That's pretty generic, but it's also reasonably descriptive. Same great windows installed by professionals, right? You put a warranty on these, right?
Yeah, sure.
Limited lifetime warranty. Save $100 to $200 per window. Now, you notice that I went to $100 to $200 per window instead of 30%. The problem with 30% is it's really hard for people to understand what that means.
Okay.
And it just sounds so fake, right? I mean, it's 20% off, 10% off, 30% off. Everybody hears that and goes, I don't even know what that means. But you tell them, look, it's $100 to $200 less due to no dealer markup. Save $200 to $300. Call this number. I might even come in here and say limited offer. I don't know if you would want to go that route or not, but I might even tell people, look, we don't, we only sell a certain percentage, factory direct. Everything else is going to our wholesale customers. I don't know, maybe you don't want to say that. Regardless, there, that makes sense. Then over here, I'd put the picture of the window so they can see a picture of a window like you've got there.
Mm-hmm.
So, factory direct windows save $100 to $200 per window. Put a big picture of the factory in the middle. We manufacture 50,000 windows a year, most to wholesale customers, but we do sell a limited part of our production direct to homeowners. Our prices are $100 to $200 less per window due to no dealer markup. And then I'd probably put down there some bullet points, something like complete line of vinyl aluminum windows, residential, commercial, double hung, sliders, casement, etc. Right? Good. Check us out online. Call us at this number, 773-376-6688. Okay? There's your ad.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'll take a picture of it and send it to you.
Oh,
It's really messy. Yeah, I mean, my handwriting is, how do they say? Launchy Badzo.
I thought you're typing it because right now I only see the screen. You know, it's only our ad, so I thought you were typing.
Yeah.
It. Okay.
No, I couldn't get my screen to work right, so I just wrote it down. So I'll just take a picture of it. They got terrible handwriting, though.
So you still remember some Mandarin, huh?
Yes. Anyway, I'll send this over to you. You can take a look at it, okay? And then if you want to design it, whatever, send it back over for a look-see, then I'd be happy to do that as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
In the meanwhile, we'll send you Headline Bank, okay?
Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Ann. Good to talk to you, Ray.
Thank you.
And I think that's it. All right. Whoops. Just pushed the wrong button. All right. I might have one more. I'm not sure. Oh, no. That's it. Okay. That's it. We're done. Thank you so much. And I guess we'll talk to you next time. We'll see you. Bye now.